Hi, I'm Rob Kimes with the West Virginia Funeral Directors Association and the West Virginia Pre-Need Funeral Trust. And I'm here today with Chad Akers of Akers and James Funeral Home of Logan, West Virginia. And we're going to discuss the relationship between the West Virginia Pre-Need Funeral Trust and the West Virginia Funeral Directors Association.
Okay, Rob, just a few of the questions we'll start out with today is, I'd like to know how and when did the West Virginia Pre-Need Trust begin?
The West Virginia Pre-Need Trust began in 1986. There were 10 association firms that each put in $2,000 as a loan to the association to begin the Pre-Need Trust. The trust was incorporated in 1996, and so from the original $20,000, the trust has grown to assets of around $30 million as of today.
Okay, Rob, what type of financial portfolio does the trust have?
The trust has a very conservative portfolio. With the founding documents, it outlines how much can be put into each sector. For instance, stocks that can only go up to 30%. The others are into treasury bills and more cash conservative type of investments. And with that, we were able to produce a percentage of return over the last 5 years of about 5%. Last year, we actually returned 5.7% on that conservative portfolio. The reason we're not more aggressive with our portfolio is in the state of West Virginia, any excess funds go back to the family, but with that excess funds and that greater return is greater risk. So in our case, we think we found a nice mix.
Okay. Rob, is an insurance license required to sell this type of pre-need?
No, with the trust to participate, you do not have to have an insurance license to sell pre-need with the trust. And along with that, not having to have an insurance license, you don't have to have the continuing ed that is required of having an insurance license. Only licenses you have or certificates that you'll have to have will be the license to sell for your establishment and the license to sell for the individual seller.
Okay. Can any money be withheld for administrative costs when you sell this type of pre-need?
Yes, when you open the account with the pre-need through the trust, you can retain up to 10% of the initial deposit that's made for the pre-need. Along with that, you can be used for administrative costs or commissions, and unlike insurance commissions per se, they're not going to be subject to a chargeback. So if the individual does not live for a certain period of time, there is no chargeback of the proceeds or that 10% taken out initially. Also, if someone should decide to change or transfer out of state or something like that, that pre-need, you still retain that 10% and it does not have to be made up on the transfer.
Rob, will the funeral home receive the 1099 forms to send out to the families with each one?
No, with the trust pays the taxes on the entire trust, so there's no need for 1099s to be sent out, and then your client families do not have to worry about receiving a 1099 and how it would affect or not affect their taxes.
Okay, what are the claims procedures with the trust?
When the claims procedures with the trust, when someone passes away, you will need to get a valuation, and that's done through our accounting group, Administrative Systems Incorporated. And with that valuation, you're going to need to have that and a certified death certificate. Now, certified, that'll be just the doctor and the cause of death. It doesn't necessarily have to be registered with the raised seal, and those will be go through the process so that you can receive your funds. A quicker way to receive those funds is you can also set up an electronic funds transfer, and that speeds up the process also. We do have sound claims procedures, and that's an important part of our trust mentality. As you know, we had the situation over the last few years of people not having sound claims procedures, and as a trust, we're here not only to protect your funeral home, your family's funds, but also the image of the profession. We want to make sure that with that we are protecting it, not giving it a black eye by making claims or paying out claims without sound claims procedures, death certificates, and proper paperwork.
Okay. Have there been any problems with fraudulent claims with this type of trust?
No, we haven't had any problems with fraudulent types of claims with the trust. However, in the pre-need industry, there has been, through an insurance related product, sound claims procedures is utmost importance with the trust. And with the trust, we have the death certificate and the procedures in which we go for to not only protect you and your client family's investment in a pre-need, but also our profession. We don't want a black eye given to the profession through bad claims or anything like that. So we do our best to protect the customer, the funeral home, the trust, and the profession.
Okay. What role does the association play within the trust?
The West Virginia Funeral Directors Association manages the actual West Virginia Pre-Need Funeral Trust. In addition to that, we have several partners within our trust. Those are Administrative Systems Incorporated. They're our accounting group. They account for each individual account. They give you reports. They'll also provide the information for your biennial reports that you have to turn into the state. In addition to that, we have Jeff Fawcett with Raymond James Financial Group, and he does the financial investing of the portfolio. And finally, Summit Bank, they're the trustee bank for the trust.
What are some of the things you found when traveling around to other funeral homes, their thoughts on the pre-need trust?
Well, being in this position for 8 years and traveling to different funeral homes and educating on the trust, is I've come to find out that there are firms out there that have been members for 20 years that didn't have an idea that we, as the West Virginia Funeral Directors Association, had that direct connection with the West Virginia Pre-Need Funeral Trust. And with that in mind, as the trust goes, so does the association. As it grows, it helps us sponsor activities such as the Midwinter Advocacy Summit, our annual convention, continuing education opportunities, as well as the lobbying efforts that we provide for the association and for the funeral directors and our profession on a state level.
Right. I have several pre-needs that are already in a local bank in CDs. What is the process of trying to move those from the bank to the West Virginia Trust?
The West Virginia Trust, we can assist you on moving your current CDs to the trust. In the state of West Virginia, when you move from trust to trust, such as the bank's trust to our trust, that there's just basic forms that need to be filled out. We can do it as a group transfer, and then those are broken into individual accounts through Administrative Systems Incorporated. But a lot of people were receiving a low interest rate, in payment on those CDs, and they wanted to move them to the trust. We've done several of those.
How does a firm get signed up to work with the West Virginia Pre-Need Trust?
All the firm has to do is call me at the office or email me, and I'll take care of the necessary paperwork to get them into the trust. I've been asked by several firms how the contribution into the trust flows in and how the distribution flows out. So how, when you make a contract, how it comes into the trust, and when someone passes away, the steps that are necessary to be taken for you to receive the proceeds of that trust account. The contribution process begins when a family pays the funeral home, and the funeral home then forwards the funds to the Summit Bank, which is our trustee. To open an account, the funeral home will write a check for that family and send it along with a copy of the contract to Summit Trust, and from Summit Trust it will go into the trust itself. It also goes to Administrative Systems Incorporated, which will develop an individual account for each pre-need, and they are the ones who do the accounting, the monthly accounting of that account, and make sure that the balances for those accounts are up to date. Questions have arisen with the distribution process. What happens when a client family has the death? When someone passes away, we initially contact ASI, and they will give you a valuation of that particular account. They will send that certified valuation to the funeral home, and the funeral home will send that signed valuation form and a death certificate. Once again, that's a death certificate that's been certified, signed by the doctor with a cause. It does not necessarily have to be one with a raised seal. But those two items will then be sent to Summit Bank, and through the process, the trust will cut a check, or if you so choose, we can have the ACH option, which will have a direct bank-to-bank deposit into your bank, which will speed up the process of payment.